Hello everybody, Equity once again, Starting Motivation coming to you live from somewhere in H-Town in Texas. I am right here with the one, the only, Elliot Guidry.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much for your time, man.
Hey, man, thank you, brother. Thank you for having me, man. When I saw you and Shenadu have that sit down, and then he brought me up, I was like, oh, man. Shout out Shenadu.
Definitely shout out to our boy Shenadu, Ogu. A lot of people don't get to see behind the scenes, right? Sometimes you see artists, you see the events put together, but there's an insight that this guy right here, Mr. Elliot, can really give all those people out there. Maybe have a question, maybe you like the scene, but you don't like to be on top of the scene. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, Elliot, Houston Trend Magazine.
Yes, sir.
So you are the founder and creator of this magazine,
yes,
if
sir.
I'm correct?
Yes, sir.
So, how did it happen? Was it an accident? Was it a random moment?
No, it was interesting because at the time, there wasn't a lot of avenues for Houston artists to gain exposure. We had just lost one of our radio stations out here, Party 104.9. So everybody was kind of fleeing to 97.9 The Box. And at the time, they were going through their own business change. They were changing from, I guess it was Radio 1 to now Urban 1. And Urban 1 was pushing more of a top 40, kind of wave. That's the word I'm going to use for it right now. But they still kind of kept a homegrown. But nonetheless, they lost a touch in up-and-coming Houston artists because the time where folks were able to pass their CDs out to those DJs, were kind of long gone, and it was just out of touch. So here I am. At the time, I was doing club photography. I was shooting this one event called Tab Tuesdays, and I gained a lot of exposure to a lot of Houston artists that were unknown to me, and I'm talking about like cats like Dope Beezy. I've seen Mac Fame come through there. I've seen Killer Callejon come through there. I know about Killer before I saw him perform, but to see him perform there and the energy he brought was just nuts. I've seen cats like DeLorean perform there. So I can go on and on. But the thing is that's how I got to know who was, where was this good music that was coming from Houston. Like, it didn't just end with Screw era, Swisher House era. Those guys, it didn't just end with them. So who else is out here making music? And how are they gaining exposure? Thus came Houston Trend. Always was a fan of magazines. I have stacks and stacks and stacks of magazines at home. It was always, as a child, like that's how I learned about, my favorite artists. The articles that was in those magazines, the pictures they painted, they were all vivid and kind of giving you a window into that artist's life for that moment. Whatever it may have been, the artist is about to release a CD, or they're about to go on a concert tour, or they're going to a concert, whatever it may have been. I wanted to recreate that for Houston artists. Give a reader the same feeling that I got about reading somebody like maybe a Ludacris or Lil Wayne at the time. Give a reader that same vibe about a Dope Beezy, Killer Callejon, a Q Guyton, DeLorean, on Profane. I want to name everybody at the same time, but
everybody deserves their credit.
Absolutely.
So, who is Elliot? Where does he come from? Where did he grow up?
Oh man, born and raised Third Ward, Houston, Texas.
H-Town.
You know what I'm talking about? Third Ward, H-Town all day. Southside. Gained exposure to my first bit of Houston music through my cousin David Anderson. He collected screw tapes, and when I say he collected them, it's not, hey, I'm gonna get this one a day. All right, maybe I missed this one. No, he had every screw tape on him at all times. So that is how I became a fan of the sound that was out here. I've always tried to figure out a creative method to express myself, whether it was in art or even at one point in time I created music. That was not a dark period, but it's a period that I will not go through again. But any shape, form, or fashion I was able to express myself creatively, I tried. And the precipice of it all came in this magazine, I'd say.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, yeah.
So, for Elliot, who was somebody I don't want to say role model, but as a reference to kind of follow their path and the inspiration you found from kind of the behind the scenes, the magazine, and the vibe of the whole H-Town movement at the time?
At the time was my cousin David Anderson. He is at the time he was a promoter based out of San Antonio. His first concerts he put together, Lil Kiki, Destiny's Child. And This was exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, and this wasn't no Destiny's Child before their Destiny's Child. This was Destiny's Child. And, just seeing that, him put that together, inspired me so much. It was like, no, this guy got the keys. He knows which way to go. So anything he was talking about, I was listening. Anytime he would do and say anything, it was almost like the Midas touch was right there with him. Learned so much from him, and all the lessons I got from him, I'm going to hold with me until they put me in the casket and close it.
It's powerful that you bring up the lessons that, of course, you're going to take with you, because those become your mold. Those become a never-ending opportunity for growth, right?
Absolutely.
And they shape you in every decision that we take. Literally, you take in consideration everything you've learned unconsciously and consciously at times. For you, one of the biggest and most impactful lessons that you learned early on, what would you say it was?
Early on, one of the biggest lessons that came to me in many of ways, as hard-headed as I may have been, is loyalty to family. And what I mean by that is we can come together and create great things, or we can stay divided and hurt each other at the same time. And I don't want that to sound grim, but as a family, you come together to put beautiful things. And I'm not just saying whether it's blood family, it's whomever it is that are coming together to mastermind whatever it is you guys are doing, and remaining with that idea until completion, or seeing it grow into something far beyond your wildest dreams. That's a lesson that I took a while for me to kind of really sit in with, because you always want to do your own thing, and you always want to have your own shine, your own glow, or be recognized for what it is you're doing. And it takes a while for a person to step back and say, let me step out of the place of feeling like I deserve and give to those who do deserve. That just took a while as a young man to really grasp.
Oh, wow. So but to make sure that I understood it correctly, sometimes is you do more trying to stimulate the group and create a whole group effort, and you trying to get ahead and be the one to lead or the one to shine.
It takes 4 wheels to drive that Cadillac up and down the street. You ain't driving with one.
Okay. I give you props for that H-Town reference. Okay. I like it. So, Elliot, if you were to see young Elliot at 18, at 16, at 20, whatever the age was that you think you needed it more, if you could go back in time and see yourself, what would be 2 pieces of advice, let's say 3, you would give yourself at that point in time?
Trust your inner guidance and go with it. That's because you can intake so much of what people can tell you, and it will alter the path that you are on. So that is the first thing I would even tell myself, is go with your inner guidance and continue to go forward in that manner, regardless of what anybody has to say about it. Because whatever you're creating, it's coming from a positive place. And that was all I ever wanted to do, was to kind of create and leave a mark in a positive manner on the world.
Is it kind of surreal for you right now at the time that maybe people that you never thought you would be working with, for, or next to, now reach out to you? And we're not talking people that blew up in the last 2 or 3 years, where people have created legacies, or they're a reference to Houston, such as like Trey the Truth, Slim Thug, and many other
Trey
people.
the Truth was the first big artist that reached out to me when I started Houston Trend, and it was literally on some, let's do an interview. He hit me up on Twitter, and since then me and him kind of been click tight. I will give him much and major props to that always, because somebody of that stature to reach down and say, I see what you're doing. You should be able to do something on me and kind of gain some notoriety behind it. So Trade of Truth is a staple for Houston Trend, even for myself alone, because being able to do that. Listen, he at the time I was living in 3rd Ward, and when we sat down to do this interview, he came from the West Side, met me over here at Frenchie's. I pull up and I see they at the time he had the Screw Blue Challenger on the all black swingers.
Yeah.
I see this car and I know exactly who it is, and I am nervous as all get out. I'm like, I'm about to go sit down with Trade of Truth. Like, this is for real about to happen. I go sit in this car. At the time, I was just starting, so I don't know to have my digital recorder. I just have my phone and a notepad. I'm sitting there trying to jot down all the things that he is saying, at the same time recording it outside in the parking lot at Frenchie's. So,
wow,
it's nuts to me, man. That was my first, I could say, giddy moment as a fan, because I was truly a fan of this man before he reached out to me, and then getting to know him personally. It makes me admire him that much more. So from guys like him to even Slim Thug, Paul Wall, or riding around to Galveston in Lil Flip's Rolls Royce, which blew my mind. Like, how is this happening? That stuff like that, I still can't get used to, because as a fan, the fan of me comes out first before anything. So to get those experiences as a fan is just like, yeah, this is really happening.
Hey, well, a lot of people don't know, and it might seem a little bit like it's not the truth, but actually Elliot and I didn't know each other at all. The reason, once again, if you've been following the videos, shouldn't do, put him up for the challenge for the interview as one of the 4 people that he closely believed should be part of this movement, what Star Motivation is all about. Mm-hmm. So I get the best vibe from you, man. I think it's one of the most rare things that we find nowadays. I think nowadays we prioritize, and I don't want to bash it, professionalism. We put it on a pedestal, and the genuinity behind it, the realness behind it, if you so call it, we're losing that touch that differentiated many other innovators in years past.
The funny thing is, I was having this conversation with my girl E, who just got onto Houston Trend. So shout out to her. But there's a sense of class that's being missed in today's culture. It's I don't care if it was Uncle Luke, there was a dab of class there. You know what I'm saying? Just a dab, and that's all you needed. Now it's just all in your face of whatever it is. Doesn't matter. One of the things I don't like to see is young gentlemen in videos with the AKs pointed at the cameras. It's like, all right, I get it, but what are you trying to prove? There's no, you're not telling me anything other than y'all are just reckless. You can be reckless, and you can storytell while being reckless. Show me why you have a need for it if you have to have a visual out. So if you're putting, and I can go on in that, but if I see a music video and it's just guys just standing around with the AK, you could have told a story. You could have portrayed something that you have lived through that makes us captivated by you now. Versus, what are you doing? I don't get it. You know, that it's a Nipsey Hussle had it. Nipsey Hussle, he can show you the grit of what it is that, you know, is coming from, but it was also an exuberant amount of class the way he did it. It's like, I'm not just going to throw it in your face, I'm going to show you why it's here. And you can see that through his visuals. You can see that through, I mean, any other many artists like that of that caliber in their videos. There's a story as to why they're doing it, and it's like I said, it comes down to class. They just had it.
Wow, you touched on a very important thing. The bringing value of your content, whether it be music, whether it be art, whether it be communications. You're right. I think we could become so uniform, so about what we just see as a hit, as a night and day overnight success. Some successes, they are overnight. There are those few lucky ones, right? But as you and I know, those successes usually take those years. The humiliations, the failed attempts, whatever the case might be.
Even the overnight successes are not overnight. We just seen it overnight. You know, you can say somebody like Tekashi 6ix9ine, which feels like an overnight sensation to me. But I guarantee you, if you go back to his backstory, he probably put in some kind of work before he got to that point of foolishness. But at the end of the day, there was some kind of grind that he was putting in to get there. You can think of anybody who you might feel like is an overnight success. I guarantee you that overnight success has years of work and paying dues before that situation has happened for them. Whether the public likes it or not, that ain't for the. I mean, it ain't. The years of the work ain't, to be judged. Now you can judge what you seeing now, but it's still going. The grind was still there, and regardless if you take it from them, they will know how to get it right back because of that work ethic. I guarantee you, after Tekashi gets out, he's going to go to work.
He's gonna do something.
It's something. It's something. There's no. You can't tell me he doesn't have a plan, or the people around him don't have a plan. There's a plan. Everybody has a plan. That's all people need is a plan. Just okay, great. You want to do this? Plan it out, and then make it happen. Folks don't follow through the plan. It looks just. Whatever happens starts to look silly, and then they kind of fall by the wayside because they either got bored with it or nothing. They didn't put the effort in planning, and it didn't happen. Shoot.
Just a little random spark of feedback that I'm really curious to what you have, because you have the insight behind the scenes of people that maybe never get seen in magazines, or in people like myself, we never get to see them on TV, but they're the ones to orchestrate, pull the strings, get the budgeting, get the price right, and the setting for many of these events.
Mm-hmm.
4 of the hardest hustlers you know of in Houston that you can tell me, Jaco, they're unbelievably addicted to the hustle.
David Anderson, Slim Thug, DJ Mr. Rogers, Trader Truth. I've never seen hustlers like these guys. My cousin David Anderson, who I get the honor of witnessing on a more daily basis. Slim Thug, Slim Thug.
Speak for yourself. Hey, shout out to that boy Slim Thug.
You know what I'm saying? DJ Mr. Rogers, who I have seen because of my cousin David Anderson, grow from a party boy DJ, whom he perfected the party boy DJ genre, but grow from that to being an on-air DJ to a DJ now that they're booking not just in the U.S. but overseas, and doing some tremendous things. All the things that he's getting into, that's what I enjoy seeing out of somebody. They're not just doing one thing. It's a ton. People are layers, and he's showcasing all of his layers. Whether it's music, whether it's cars, whether it's fashion, whether it's radio, on and on and on. You go to a club and you hear him play, you don't want to hear another DJ behind him. It's not supposed to happen because DJ Mr. Rogers is the main event. His work ethic, and then Trader Truth. Yet somebody else who speaks for itself. He's not just one thing. He is so many things to so many different people. A hero. You can go on and on. You know what I'm saying? For him to have boats and now tanks almost like
Oh yeah, I see that.
in preparation just to be there to help those in need. Even his music, you know, the deal he had with Grand Hustle, his now clothing line he's releasing, his Angels by Nature Foundation, on and on and on. I can go about these guys, but at the end of the day, if you want to learn how to hustle, you're going to find your way to either one of these four guys, and you're going to learn from them. You're going to learn something, even with your eyes closed and your mouth wide open, flapping. You're going to hear something through your just being around them.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Definitely, there's people that always stand out, not only because of their presence, but literally to all the work that has gone behind their image and themselves. You know, so sometimes they take on personal events and maybe they weren't scheduled for them, but they saw it in them that, you know what, I want to be part of this cause because it's bigger than me.
Exactly.
Elliot, I know you mentioned your family member as being somebody you wanted to kind of follow their footsteps, but anybody else that was somebody important in your life and was a big influence into what you do now?
I'm be honest, my man. I'm gonna keep bringing the name up of David Anderson, and the reason why is because of the things that I've been able to see this man do. If you were able to see through my eyes the things that he's been able to do, you would understand. Coming from a background where he's hadn't done just parties. He came out here in Houston, started a marketing firm, obtained clients from Coca-Cola, to now running the entire southern division of Bacardi. You watched Entourage?
Yes.
Ari Gold. It's David Anderson.
Well, shout out to David Anderson. I have to send a shout out. Elliot, David, if you're watching this right now, which I'm pretty sure you are, we get it, okay? Yeah, you're a prime hustler, and I am glad that Elliot gets to share that. Elliot,
I'll even give you a story. Not to
no, go ahead.
How I got the name Houston Trend. I called him one day and was like, "Hey, if you had a magazine, what would you call it?" Trend Magazine. One of his more popular nights was called Trend Friday. He killed it at the Shadow Bar. This was, God, way before I had grays in my beard. But, you know, it was just that simple. I was like, great. Got off the phone with him, Googled Trend Magazine to see if it was taken. The name Trend Magazine was taken. Then I just put Houston in front of it and said, this is going to be my focus. This is going to be Houston Trend, things that Houston is doing, whether it was music, whether it was fashion, Houston is a mecca of so many different businesses out here to where the road paved itself for me at that day. So, yeah, that's just another story to add about David Anderson. Houston Trend would not be had it not been for David Anderson.
I always like to ask this question to people that I know that work hard, they have their dreams lined out, and maybe not even lined out, but they're just working towards what they believe is their cause, their fulfillment. Have you ever had I don't want to say a freak out, but a scary self-realization moment where you were like, man, this lined out way too perfect. Like, it was meant for me to be here at this second, to walk out that door or go into that room and said this phrase, met this person.
Actually, man, today something like that happened. So right now with Houston Trend, I'm kind of in a revamping stage and just wanting some new eyes and ears under the Houston Trend banner. Earlier this week, matter of fact, after you even contacted me to do this, I was meeting with Deja Vu PR, just kind of running across some ideas and saying, this is how I want some things to happen for Houston Trend. One of those things on there was I want some younger people in here. Need somebody from either TSU, U of H that are kind of like already involved in what it is that we're doing, and I need them here because I can't be the only motivated individual about Houston Trend pushing it. And sure enough, my girl Erin hit me up and was like, "What's up? I've been following your work for eons." I was like, "Pardon me?" And at the same time, seeing the stuff that she's involved in. She has so many bright ideas. And before you got up here, I had a meeting with her, just kind of, brainstorming on some things. So moments like that, where I have literally spoke what it was into existence, not knowing that that's exactly what I was doing. It wasn't even a, hey, I need somebody to come be under Houston Trend. She found me, and just the vibe is right.
Like we're talking behind the camera right now, a lot in Destiny and being in that place. There's no coincidence why we decided to do that last comment, why we decided to go, why we decided to reach out, and why we decided to ask a certain question that led to many other things and never-ending possibilities. Mr. Elliot, it is astonishing the amount of not information but the vision that you get to see behind the cameras and all of that. If for anybody that's trying to do what you do, for any young guy, older man, maybe they don't know they like this, maybe they kind of like it, they don't have a clue how to get in it. What would you give them as advice as being part of this behind the scenes deal?
It's gonna sound cheesy, but just do it. It's as simple as that. It's so easy to do anything. We just left this restaurant, Fry House. Man literally makes all of his entrees on the bed of French fries, and that's just what he did. Houston Trend. It was me having an idea and continuing to research and develop it at the same time as promoting it. Doesn't matter what it is. Just figure out the first step and do it. If it's music, go to where music is either being made or being done at. If whether it's somebody's concert, pop up, you found somebody's studio or something. Go be in that environment to further push what it is you're trying to do. You can't do it alone. You gotta find the space where it's being done. And there are plenty of people that love what it is you're trying to do already, and that would love to say, we're here for the same thing. Just do the work, and we'll make it. Just do it.
It goes hand in hand perfectly to what I spoke about earlier in the week. They're your circle, who you surround yourself with. It's crucial that maybe the people you surround yourself with, they're not 100% into everything you're in, but their main focuses are similar to yours, right? And then that's where exchanging of ideas and, hey, guess what? I know this person. We bonded good. I recognize and respect your work ethic. Allow me to connect you, right? And as you know, networking is, I would say, is the most important thing to anything you want to do.
Absolutely. If you are not out there trying to find, like I said, people that are already doing what it is you're doing and figure out what it is that they know that you don't, if they're so, reluctant to give up the information, that's it. You might find those who are a little hesitant, but at the same time, there's somebody there. Somebody. That's another thing, is knowing how to talk about yourself. Knowing how to promote yourself. Nobody's going to know your story like you know your story. Nobody's going to know what it is you want to do like you know what it is you want to do. And if you do not know how to adequately put that in some form of words, writing, or anything like that, you're going to find it very difficult for those to want to attach themselves. And it's not just on the fact that you not knowing how to talk about it. It's just they don't know, they can't understand it. They won't be able to catch what it is you're trying to do because you can't adequately say what it is you're wanting to do.
I'll be honest with you. You caught me off guard. I had not thought of that. I had always been asked, how do you just go in it? How did you get to talk to Elliot? How did you get to talk to Shinadu, etc.? Just a few examples out there. And you're right. I had never really thought about it. We learn something daily, and I'm not making this up. I'm literally listen to Elliot and being like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful moment. Let me tell you that honestly. You're right. It has a lot to do with the words that you talk about yourself, because that projects the faith, the confidence, and the vision you have towards a potential person that could join your team or maybe be your customer. You know
Everything
what I mean?
comes down to understanding. You want somebody else to understand what it is you want to do. And if they can't understand it, they can't be as enthused about it as you are. If they can understand it and it's clear to them, it's limitless at that point.
Just do it. Know how to speak about yourself.
Know how to translate your understanding to somebody else. That's it.
About what fulfills your love for something. Elliot, we're in a booming city. Please don't move in anymore. We're enough. Please. No, I'm kidding. Love for everybody, but Houston in the last 7 years, I dare say, has gone a drastic boom in plants and real estate and businesses and social media based businesses, not just physical businesses, and e-trade. Everything has been booming. With all that, has the display of what Houston is as far as the city of rap, the country city of city meets of cowboys, has that shaped Houston in any other different form, or has Houston kept its integrity the way it's been characterized for the last 20, 30 years?
You know, it's always going to kind of maintain some integrity, and it's just like with everything. Everything has to grow, and with growing comes change. Houston has definitely seen its forms of change. Some I can agree with, some I don't necessarily agree with. But at the end of the day, nothing is meant to stay the same. It's going to grow. So, the plans that they're talking about, how they're going to build that 45 and 288 I-10 road is now going to be a tunnel. So things like that, you're going to start seeing some major inner city changes because they're trying to appeal to more of the tourists and things of that nature, which is understandable. Just leave our neighborhoods alone sometimes.
So, Elliot, what do you have going on? As you can tell the folks, what's popping, what's coming up, what's new, or what's in the back of the burner?
Man, wish I can say all the things, but they are just going to have to pay attention.
Okay. Where can people follow you on Instagram?
At Houston Trend, at Elliot Guidry.
We'll be right below, right here. Please give a boy Elliot a follow. And I know for a lot of reasons you can't just go into detail about what's coming up, but regardless,
a lot of things are it's in the building process for a lot of things. So I could say, but I can't say. That's just one of the things.
Tell you what, follow Elliot and you'll find out. With all that being said, once again, we want to thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy individual. We're juggling a lot of things here, as both you and I, and more you right now.
I appreciate you coming over here to the media block and speaking with me, brother. That shows a lot, and how quickly you made it happen.
Thank you for responding to that message, and thank you once again to that boy Shinadu Ogu. Once again, follow him on Instagram as well, and keep him tight on that tour he's doing. That's the comedy guy coming up. I've told him many times in person, he just laughs, but he's about to do this to himself because he's gonna blow up way bigger than he thinks. And this relates to the importance of networking and building a relationship. Now I know Elliot. Elliot's been knowing Shinadu. You never know who you're gonna cross, who you're gonna speak to, or who you might need something from ever. I always say, keep it humble. Stay in your lane. Help when you can. Is there anything that you stand by firmly? The 3 top things that you always respect in your life, whether it be personal or professional?
If I were to stick by any frame of words put together, stay loyal, be true. That's about those courtesy words of Uncle Bun.
Shout out to Uncle Bun.
but there's so much that entails. Being true to who you are, being real with others, truth, real, trill, and loyal to those who are sticking by your side and want to see you grow at the same time. That doesn't mean turning a blind eye to the things that they tell you to turn a blind eye to, but being there for them when it doesn't necessarily need to be a time of need, but just being there for them and making sure everybody grows around you. That's it. That's all we are here. That's all I'm here to do, is to help those that come around me grow.
Heard it from the man himself. Elliot, following what we put in place with Shinadu Ogu, for other people that you know and believe would vibe and be part of this, what Star Motivation is.
I'm going to say this before I say my four.
Interview.
Toby needs to holler at you.
Toby? Okay.
So I'm repeating Shinadu's list. Young JJ. Who else did he mention? And Trader Truth. So he mentioned those guys. I'd like to see you sit down across from those individuals. JJ, like Shinadu said, has an incredible story. Her story is just, you might cry. And you also will leave motivated at the same time. Trader Truth, same situation. Toby is a story of pure inspiration, motivation, falling down, getting back up, and not falling again, or allowing you to be seen fall. But so I want to see you sit across from those guys. But my list would be David Anderson, DJ Mr. Rogers, Slim Thug, and Trader Truth.
You heard it from Elliot. It wasn't pre-discussed. It wasn't. I'm not paying this guy to say that. I literally am not. But I will be reaching out. Be tagging you in the comments below. You don't have to believe me. You have to. You could believe the person you've been dealing with this past years. Elliot, once again, thank you so much. Man, hey, man, we look forward to still working with you. Maybe in the future we do get to again do something, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen.
That was already said before you said it.
Once again, Elliot, thank you so much. You have the whole camera to yourself. Anything you want to tell all those people, 45, 25, that don't believe they have it in them, what would you tell them?
Get up, do it, make it happen. You can. You got the ability to do it. Don't doubt yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror. Walk out the door. The day is yours.
Once again with the Yaku here, coming to you from H-Town. Start at Motivation.